Hey you guys, welcome back to the Board Game Critic. Today we're going to talk about hunting through the forest, looking for different mythical beings, casting spells and potions, and looking for the prized golden and mythical unicorns. Let's take a look at Magical Unicorn Quest, which is set to hit Kickstarter April 16th. Magical Unicorn Quest is a pretty simple game of racing against the other players to get two magical unicorns, well, one golden unicorn and one mythical unicorn into your stable to win the game. I do this because I love talking about games. If there's any way you could click the subscribe button and like this video, it really helps me out a lot and it keeps me doing what I love doing. And if there's anything that I can do for you to keep you doing what you love doing, that's honestly why I'm reviewing Magical Unicorn Quest right now. It's a simple game that can play 2 to 6 players and takes roughly 20 minutes, but can increase the more players you get. The games that we played took around, there was one that took around 6 minutes because somebody got really lucky, and then others have taken around 20 minutes. Magical Unicorn Quest is right along the same lines as Exploding Kittens or Unstable Unicorns, a simple game where you're racing against other players to complete a task. It's basically a set collecting game where your increased value of sets will get you greater powers that will allow you to win the game faster. There are some nice subtle elements of hand management, tableau building, engine building, and set collection all mixed into this very simple game. I agree with the age recommendation on this game that it is for 8 and older. There is quite a bit of reading. Once you learn the different characters, you could probably bypass the reading, but it's going to take some dedicated effort to get kids to that point. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Magical Unicorn Quest is played. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at what is inside Magical Unicorn Quest and see if it might be a game that you would be interested in backing. So first of all, it's very simple. We have cards, we have rules, and we have a box. So we're going to go ahead and set the rules and the box off to the side. Setting up the game is really easy and really fast, which may be something that appeals to you and your gaming group. You want to deal 6 cards to each player. Sorry, I can't talk and count at the same time. And that comprises the player's hands. The deck, which is called the forest deck, will go into the center, and then there's also reference cards if you would like to give each player a reference card. Now there are 3 different phases to the game, but they're not as complicated as they sound. You draw, then you can take your actions, and then you'll end by discarding down to 7 cards if you have more. So let's go ahead and look at some of the cards that are included. There are 3 distinct card types in Magical Unicorn Quest. There are potions, there's magic, or there are beings. You'll come across a variety of these as you search through the forest looking for the magical unicorns. Mystical beings are played in front of you into what's considered your stable. Mystical magic and mystical potions are one-time use that will be discarded. As you can see, mystical beings get better the more of them that you have. This makes Magical Unicorn Quest a bit of a set collecting game. So as you can see, the dwarf will allow you, if you have 1 or more dwarves, you are able to place cards from your hand into your stable if they're mystical beings. This will allow you to play more than 1 mystical being per turn. If there are 3 or more dwarves in your stable, you can add any number of mystical beings from your hand to any stable. This allows you to get bad mystical beings into other people's stables, or it will also allow you to play both of the mystical unicorns that you're seeking into your stable in a single turn, which is a huge advantage. Now, things like poisonous mushrooms, the potions, are a one-time use. You play it and then discard it, and in the case of the poisonous mushrooms, you can discard any mystical being from any stable. Mystical magic cards are also one-time use, but they're typically played out of turn. For example, when a player tries to play a card from their hand, you can halt the target card. It has no effect, and you place it in the discard pile. The goal of the game is pretty simple. If at any time you have the Golden Unicorn and the Majestic Unicorn in your stable at the same time, you win the game. I've gone ahead and set up what a 2-player game might look like partway through the game so we can kind of see how a couple turns will play out. For my turn, I have 7 cards in hand. I'm going to begin by searching the forest and drawing a card. Then I'm able to play 1 potion and 1 mystical being into my stables. And then I'm going to and you can do these in any order. I could choose to activate these beforehand. I am going to place an elf into my stable, and then since I played my one mystical being that I can play, I can actually play one additional because of the dwarf. I am going to use my elf's power to draw a card. Give me Unicorn Thief. I was really hoping for a werewolf so that I wouldn't have to discard one of my mystical beings. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my werewolf to discard my dwarf. The Golden Unicorn doesn't have any effect. Now I can play one potion, and I can also play any mystical magic that I would like to. I'm going to go ahead and play Poisonous Mushrooms to get rid of one of the other player's elves. And then my turn would be over. Now this player is going to search the forest, get another elf, so they're actually going to play that elf, use the elf's ability to draw 2 cards. They're going to go ahead and play their one mystical potion that they can play, which is Unicorn Food, which will pull the Golden Unicorn to their side. This is where I made a mistake of playing the elf, because now I can't play the Majestic Unicorn. So then I must activate the Ogre, which is going to require me to discard 2 cards from my hand at random. I'm going to shuffle these up and discard 2, getting rid of the dwarf and the werewolf. Excited that I didn't have to get rid of my mystical unicorn. Then it would be back to this player's turn. I still have 7 cards. Draw 1. I'm going to use my Poisonous Mushroom to get rid of my werewolf and play my elf for my one mystical being, and then draw 2 cards. Now I have 8 cards at the end of my turn, so I'm going to have to get rid of 1. I'll get rid of a Unicorn Thief since I have 3 copies, and that would be the end of my turn. Now at this point, I'm able to win the game with this player. I would play the Majestic Unicorn, and the game would be over. At this point, this player would be overridden with guilt that they didn't poison the Golden Unicorn or steal the unicorn when they had the chance. The game can end very quickly, so don't procrastinate your moves to cut down the other players. It's not so aggressive that you're going to leave the table hating each other, but enough that you can really kind of get back at people and get a little bit aggressive in a fun way. The components appear to be great, and I think they'll just get better with their Kickstarter campaign. So if you're looking for really deep mechanics to digest or some new gameplay experience, this probably isn't it for you. But if you're looking for a solid game to add to your collection, to get your kids more in love with games, to introduce to non-gamers, or just a nice filler game that has some really modern and nice artwork, I do recommend Magical Unicorn Quest on Kickstarter. Overall, Magical Unicorn Quest seems like a solid game. There's nothing here that is explosive or out of this world. You can follow the link in the comments to follow their project so that you can be among one of the early backers. Otherwise, look for Magical Unicorn Quest on April 16th coming to Kickstarter.